What's going on, Cowboys Nation? Decided to go live with my reaction of the game last night. And it was actually, how do I say it? We lost, but this one didn't sting as bad. And there's a couple of reasons why. But before I touch on anything, I'm going to talk about pregame. And you guys are probably looking at the thumbnail of what happened last night, of something that was really monumental. So I believe leading up to the week, Zeke Elliott said that he believed that a couple of players would kneel. Jerry Jones kind of talked about it a little bit, as in the players having the freedom to do whatever it is that they feel that they have to do, during these times. And, I was expecting a couple of more players to kneel. Prime time, you saw that there were a lot of Rams players that kneeled on their side. And on the Cowboys side, for the most part, everybody stood. But I will say that there were different things that you saw. You saw people locking arms. You saw people, touching one another. There's an image that you see in the thumbnail where you see Dontari Poe. He's actually the only Cowboy that did kneel. And you see, I believe, Alden Smith, with his hand on his shoulder. And then there was another player that had the hand on his shoulder as well. So I think it was very monumental because, Dontari Poe, not necessarily being familiar with, not necessarily being a Cowboys guy that, that they drafted, they brought him in for a one-year deal, is the first Cowboy to kneel. So that I thought that was pretty monumental. They had the camera on Jerry probably to get a reaction out of him because that's what they ultimately do throughout games. If you look at games, if you watch enough Cowboys football, you know that they put the camera in Jerry's booth an awful lot, and rightfully so, because he's ultimately the spokesperson for the Cowboys. So I think that Jerry probably was okay with it. And so, I mean, I'll address it a little bit later. I'll probably do a show with Elton and my boy E2 Blue, and we'll probably discuss that a little further. But let's talk about the game. The game was, it looked like a dress rehearsal to me. I watched throughout the league. I watched other games, and they looked a lot sharper. In our game with the Rams, us and the Rams didn't really look like it didn't seem like it was an actual football game. There was some rust there, especially with the Cowboys and tackling. That's probably, I would say, the number one reason why we dropped this game. We did not tackle well at all. And if I am the Cowboys, I'm on the horn this morning for Earl Thomas, because I don't think that our safeties did enough last night. I think Xavier Woods showed a little bit. There were a couple of times in run support that he did well, but we're not good enough, and they're not good enough in instinct. They're not good enough in the passing game. We're still getting taken advantage of by tight ends. Higbee had with our linebackers and stuff like that. So I just think that we're missing something on the defensive side of the ball. We don't have anybody that makes quarterbacks actually have to think at the safety position when they're dropping back to throw. Everything was pretty easy. And, the Rams did a very good job of taking the Cowboys out of what we wanted to do, which is rush the quarterback. So they did a lot of no huddle, a lot of motioning, a lot of, they did a lot of no huddle and stuff like that so that we couldn't substitute, so that we couldn't rotate to our guys. So it was pretty smart on their part. They did a lot of quick hitters, a lot of screens and stuff like that. And I don't necessarily believe early on that we flowed to the ball well. Later on, we did better at flowing to those screens and actually sniffing them out and things like that. And that comes with, not having any preseason games. So, that comes with that. But open field tackling, I'm actually, on first contact tackling well. We did not do a good job there. And it cost us because we gave up, I believe, 60% on third down. And in all honesty, the time of possession for them over us was 11 minutes. And we're normally the time of possession team. So it was really hard for our guys to get a rhythm on offense. But, I mean, hats off to the Rams for their game plan, because I'll be honest with you, they do not look like the same team without Gurley. But they managed it. They found ways around it. They found ways to kind of, they found ways to still move the ball, but where they're missing Gurley is in the red zone. Like when they got down to about the 20-yard line, the run game, the running backs that they have aren't good enough to really make you pay there, and that's why we were in that game. Because in all actuality, looking at how the game was going, we probably should not have been in it. We didn't play well. We didn't play well, but we didn't play bad enough to be outside of the game, so it was kind of weird. Let me look at some of the comments. Vern says the Rams ran slants and screens the whole game. We got beat by play action. I mean, what the Rams try and do is they have a lot of plays that look the same. So it's really assignment football at that point. What you have to do is you have to win early in first and second downs, and you have to make that minimal, and you have to make them have to be in 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 6s, and whatnot. They were all often in 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 3s, situations like that. They were in situations where in 4th down, they're in manageable situations on 4th down. But I do think that the defense, once they got settled, kind of clamped down a little bit. We got a little bit better. But offensively, the offensive line, guys, they always talk about this offensive line, and you know how my guy Elton said it perfectly. This is not 2016. This is not the same offensive line. It's not. Right tackle. Well, for one, we started an undrafted free agent at tackle. Ended up getting hurt. We had another tackle. We just, and on top of that, like, not only that, right tackle's getting beat every play. I mean, I know that people are like, well, he held up. There wasn't that many sacks, but Dak is mobile. Dak was able to move around and maneuver. But what that did was that took him away from being able to, allow our receivers to beat anybody. We had to keep going short. We moved the ball, and once Dak got in the rhythm a little bit in the 2 minutes and stuff like that, we did well. But we weren't able to block well at all, and it was pretty evident. And not to mention, Aaron Donald is just going to win some of his matchups. He even beat Zach Martin one time. I mean, he's an all-pro defensive player of the year 2 times for a reason. So he's going to win some of his battles, and then you're getting your right tackle. Your right tackle's just getting whooped. So, I mean, I think Connor Williams did pretty well yesterday. I think he did pretty well. There were some times that Aaron Donald, gave him a little bit of fits, but I think he held up well. I think that he did a lot better than I expected. Offensively, the receivers, I mean, there was a time that I thought Amari probably should have caught the ball, but, Jalen Ramsey, knocked it up in the air. We didn't have that many problems with drops. We had a couple of drops, though. Schultz dropped the ball. That probably would have extended the drive there. But, I mean, I just think that I think offense, we really just need, I think it'll come. But we got to figure out the blocking situation. And they wouldn't have known how bad the blocking situation is because there was no preseason games. And really, we're just going up against each other, and you can figure each other out. So really going up against another team, we can kind of find out some of those issues. And I think that they'll make adjustments. We'll see. But it really came down to 3rd downs on both sides. We didn't do well on offense in 3rd down. They did well on 3rd down. And also, a pivotal point in our game, I think, was the field goal. I think that we probably should have kicked the field goal there. I think that the play calling actually was bad in that situation. On 3rd and 6, I think that we probably should have tried to complete a pass there. I don't think that the run was I don't think a run on 3rd and 6 running the ball, I don't think that was a good idea at all. But if it would have gotten a considerable gain, like maybe you get to 4th and 2, maybe 4th and 1, I understand it. But 4th and 4, 4th and 3, like you got to kick the field goal there and take the points. That's just my opinion. A lot of people think that Garrett would. See, here's the difference in Garrett and McCarthy. Garrett would have kicked the field goal there, yes. But I do believe if Garrett coached that game yesterday, we probably would have gotten blown out. I don't even think it would have been close at all. I do think the coaching was much better yesterday than we had seen. Was it the same result? Yes, but I do think that it was more on execution yesterday why we lost, opposed to the coaching being the issue. And I have no problem with them trying to win. I think that if I was coaching, I would have managed it a little bit different. But I have no problem with them trying to win and we lose. opposed to trying to be conservative and we lose, and that be the reason. Um, and I'm going to touch on my last point. That OPI was ridiculous. We're the only team that gets called for things like that. That was a bogus call. I'm a receiver coach. So the one thing that we talk that I teach my receivers is not to extend your arm completely. Not to, like I'm looking like with this pole, not to push off this way to where the ref can see. Now what I saw was their arms locked up, and I saw him kind of give a nudge. I kind of saw him extend his arm down, and Jalen Ramsey sold it, and they gave him a bullshit call. I'm sorry for using that language, but it was a bullshit call at that time. But we're the only team that gets called for that type of stuff. So I don't expect anything different. I know that a lot of you guys are mad about it, but at this point, they ref us differently, especially when it comes to primetime games. We're just going to get hosed on those type of calls. So the things that we have to do is in between those controversial moments. We got to win games so it doesn't come down to that. Because in all actuality, we know that was a horrible call. And I would not be surprised if the NFL comes out and issues us an apology. But guess what? That doesn't get us a win. But at least we do know this. We know that the coaching, Mike McCarthy might not have been used to that. He might not have been used to, being reffed a little bit differently because you are the Dallas Cowboys and it's a primetime game. And, the refs played to dramatics. That was probably the most dramatic call that you could have made at that point. Especially being that, we got called for 2 offensive pass interferences throughout the game. I bet money that nobody else got called for 2 OPIs in week 1. No other team. But you can see Tyler Higbee, knock Cheeto Awuzie 20 yards down the field so Cooper Kupp can catch a first down. We're not going to call an OPI there, when that happened in the first half. But, we're ref differently. So I'm not going to say that we were robbed because we had opportunities to win that game and we didn't execute. But that was a bogus call. That was a completely bogus call. Vern says on 4th down, Nick Eatman said CD did run his route deep enough. I disagree with that because what happened was there was a defender. So I saw him cross, right? I saw him cross. And what CD did was he flattened his route out. He stopped going the path that he was going because I think he flattened it out so he wouldn't take a hit. And I think that he was relying on, his run after catch. I think that was a rookie move. It was a college move. It would have worked at Oklahoma. But that was something in the NFL where it's a game of inches, and it just didn't work out that way. I do think that he definitely flattened his route out to try and make something happen, and it was a rookie mistake. So that's some of the things that I was talking about with execution. But we should have just kicked the field goal there. The reason that I say that is, at that point, they did trust the defense enough to where we could get the ball back. And we did get the ball back, and they didn't score. But understand this. When you're having right tackle issues, you're having line issues like we're having, that's one extra play that your quarterback doesn't have to take a hit. That also doesn't take away any momentum that you gained because we came up with the turnover. The defense was playing ball. Like, that would have been, something that resulted in points. We tied the game. We're on the road. We're not playing well. They're playing as well as they could play on their side. And I at that point, I just didn't feel that it was the time to go for the jugular. Sometimes you feel it. Might be 4th and 1, might be anything like that. But in that situation, how that played out, running the ball on 3rd and 6, getting a minimal gain, and then going for it on 4th down, I just didn't think that was the right call in that instance. But other than that, I had no problem with the coaching at all. I think that we had to go short game a lot because we couldn't block them. We couldn't block them. If you go back and watch the game, our O-line was getting destroyed a lot in that game. Buddy Johnson says we should have kept Cam Fleming, and I agree with that. And one thing that I've always pushed is we keep drafting all of these guards. Why not push? I was a big proponent on Connor McGovern or the other guy that Vosh loves so well. I forget his name. It starts with a B, but he came in and backed Connor Williams up. I was a proponent of making one of those guys the left guard and pushing Connor out to a swing tackle because that's what he did, swing right tackle. I mean, if Lyle Collins was going to come out, they put too much faith in the fact that we're gonna have our tackles the way that they are. Tyron Smith misses 3 games a year. So if that isn't alone enough right there to know that you need a swing tackle that is, dependent, I don't know what is. So, but hey, I'm not on the coaching staff, so maybe they see something that I don't see, but I think that I would much rather trust Connor at tackle, at swing tackle, at coming in and helping us there than, he played pretty solid at guard. I'm just saying I think he's much better at swing tackle, and I think we could get almost somebody as serviceable or maybe better at the left guard to play left guard. But he built his body to be a guard, so I kind of get it. But at the same time, it leaves us vulnerable in situations like this, because the right tackle, I mean, we were getting beat off that edge all day and dealing with Aaron Donald. Now, that's a lot to deal with. So, but I think they'll go to the drawing board, and I think it'll be better. So I feel a little better about this loss than I have about other losses, because I think that it didn't deal with, I don't think coaching is why we lost this game. I think that we'll be straight. I think that we'll be fine. I saw things that we improved on, whether it was the same result or not. I saw an improvement in our team. Oh, I didn't talk about Leighton Vander Esch, which Leighton Vander Esch, Blake Jarwin, they got hurt in the game. I wasn't expecting Blake Jarwin to go down like he did, but Leighton Vander Esch, at this point, can you say that you're surprised by him getting hurt? It's what he does. It's what he did in college. He came in damaged goods, but this is who they decided to draft. We draft those type of players, or during the Garrett era, we drafted those type of players over Rashaan Evanses. And, this is what happens. We need to stop drafting linebackers we need to stop drafting linebackers like that, and we need to start drafting linebackers that can actually, that are dogs, man. I never thought Leighton Vander Esch was a dog. I think he was good. I never saw any dog in him at that point. And like, when I mean dog, I mean like actually physical. Like, we need to draft physical linebackers that can play. You look at Baltimore. Baltimore doesn't pass up those type of players. They're not going to draft a Boise State guy over an Alabama guy. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'm just saying I'm not surprised that he got hurt there. Do I want him to come back to speedy recovery? Do I think he's good? Yeah, he's good when he's out there on the field, but he doesn't help us when he's hurt. And sometimes injuries are a luck thing, and some people are lucky enough to stay healthy. And all I'm saying is, we got to find a way to start bringing in players that can be healthy and help us. So yeah, that's really all I got, man. Thanks you guys for joining the live, man. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell each time I come out with content. I'm gonna come out with a lot more content. Right now I was on my morning walk, so I had to do my video this morning. I had to reflect a little bit, man. I'm getting in shape. So you guys, keep tuning in, man. I'm gonna come out with content. Got me a new camera. So things are gonna change a little bit. All right, guys. Peace out.